Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another live this morning. And I know in Canada it's a holiday Monday, but I don't take holidays. Of course I do. Wendy, how are you? Number one on the hit parade this morning. Hope all is well. Janet, good morning. Nice to have you on with us. And Carrie from Nebraska. No holiday in the USA today, right? Barbara, good morning to you. Business as usual. And Mary and Sandra from Aurelia, our faithful followers. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. Alicia. And we'll wait for a few more here. Zian, bonjour. Sharon, good morning. Nice to have you on with us. And Janice. And Tina. Tina says, thanks for working on a holiday. This ain't work. This is fun. Chantal, good morning. Nice to have you on with us. And Vanda from PEI. Beautiful. Wendy. Another Wendy. And thanks again, guys. We appreciate it. And Karen and Kevin, I hear you're back home safe, Kevin. I hope you had a great trip. Okay, good for you. And good morning, St. Catharines. How is you? And thanks for coming on. Mike from Norland. Milika. Good morning. And we appreciate it. Couple more. Dottie, New Brunswick. Joanne, good morning. And it'll probably be a little bit slower this morning, especially in Canada. Glenda, maybe a few less followers. Yeah, and Kevin said he got home safe and sound. Nicole, good morning. How is you? And one or two more, okay? Fran, Orangeville, good morning. Valerie, we appreciate you guys. I've entitled this morning, Shelley, how is you? And Anne said she's back from vacation from Cape Breton. Maggie, good morning. And you guys are great. Thanks for coming on. Sweetie from Edmonton, Alberta. How are you? Good morning, Edmonton. Colette, Brenda. Thanks for coming on, guys. Coast to coast. Ziliang. Working on a holiday, yes. But like I said, it's not work for me, guys. This is fun. It's a hobby. Donna, good morning. Nice to have you on. Brenda, yes. We appreciate all of you guys. And I mean it. And Monica. I know I missed so many too that are on here. But I don't see it. And if I don't see your name, not me. Trudy. Okay. Now. Okay. Not getting AJ. How are you? Not getting the memo is what we're going to call this today. An article came out. Good morning, Margaret. Paul, how are you? Nice to have you on. And Debbie. An article came out. I read it last week. 70% of physicians haven't got the memo. So we're going to talk about not getting the memo this morning, okay? They're not getting the memo on not prescribing antibiotics. And good morning, Dolores from Maryland. Grace, good morning to you. 70% of physicians surveyed still prescribe antibiotics when they shouldn't. When you have no symptoms. You know what the two biggest culprits are? Two biggest culprits. Women are given antibiotics when they have no symptoms, but a doctor finds bacteria in their urine. So in the doctor's mind, you have a urinary tract infection, a bladder infection. They give you antibiotics when they shouldn't. When they shouldn't. You know what the second one is? Dentist. Surveyed. They're giving out antibiotics before patients come in, even for a cleaning. When patients are coming in, before they come in, they put them on antibiotics in order that they get no infection after the procedure at the dental office. They're not getting the memo. The memo is out. Doctors, please stop prescribing antibiotics. You know what the number three reason that doctors prescribe antibiotics when they shouldn't? Okay, number one, women, urinary tract. I'll come back to that. Two, dentist. As a precaution. Three, children are given antibiotics for ear infections, throat infections. When 90-something% of them, they're not strep, they're viral. But they're just so used to doing it, they're not getting the memo. Even the College of Physicians and Surgeons, the Canadian Medical Association, the Ontario Medical Association, in the United States, they've all come out and said, we're overusing antibiotics. Let's stop doing that, please. Why? Because antibiotics are a two-edged sword. They're good when needed. But if you want antibiotics to work, you don't want to overuse them. Why is that? Because we now have what we call superbugs that have built a resistance to antibiotics. That is a big problem in our society today. It's a big problem in hospitals today. That's why a lot of people die from what we call sepsis. Antibiotics are not working like they should because they're overused. And doctors have been trying to tell doctors to stop. Don't do it. Ladies, if you have a urinary tract infection with no symptoms, if it's not burning, I ask this all the time. I used to ask it in practice all the time. You have a urinary tract infection. I used to find it when I did the urine test. I said, you got any pain? No. Okay. Well, what you need is probiotics. You need probiotics. If you're going to the dentist and the dentist insists on you using antibiotics, don't say a word and rinse your mouth with oil of oregano. God's natural antibiotic. Rinse your mouth with oil of oregano. Spray and pray. Ladies, don't take an antibiotic as a prevention when you have no symptoms. Don't take an antibiotic because what happens is recurring urinary tract infections. And what sits in the bladder is really not bacteria. Yes, bacteria is there. It's really a fungal infection. It's yeast, my friend. And yeast, E. coli will sit on top of it. And antibiotics will just make it worse. And oftentimes, ladies, you're low in progesterone. You have estrogen dominance. And you have a yeast, literally a yeast infection, not a bacterial one. I know the bacteria is there. But it's a vicious cycle. Doctors are not getting the memo. They should get the memo. They're going, this is, like I said, this is a major, major issue in our society today. Major issue. But the edict has gone out to them. They're not listening. That's what this article is saying. 70% of the physicians surveyed are still treating asymptomatic problems with antibiotics. People are on antibiotics for months. I talked to patients who've had cellulitis, and they keep them on antibiotics. I said, well, you're gonna, the next one you get is gonna kill you, man. You're gonna get sepsis because your body is gonna resist. Do everything you can to build your immune system, your own defense mechanism, so that antibiotics will be used when they should be used to save your life. You got a raging infection? Hey. But everybody and their dog knows that antibiotics have a shelf life, in a sense that you don't want to be taking that stuff all the time. We're getting these superbugs, C. difficile. You know what C. difficile is? It's C. difficult to treat. It's killing people. Look, never tell a person not to go to a hospital if you need a hospital, but this is a fact. The most dangerous place is not Afghanistan. It's your local hospital. Why? Because of the presence of superbugs there. And that's a twofold reason. Well, of course, you got sick people in hospital, of course. But the reasons are they overuse antibiotics and they over-sterilize. Super cleaners. Now, you don't want to go into a dirty hospital, of course. But when you over-clean, there's a balance of bacteria, guys. I know even in the air, you're surrounded by bacteria. You're surrounded by viruses. Your body is made to live with that. You know me. Don't over-clean. Don't over-clean. And so hospitals are of a complete petri dish for superbugs. And it's sort of iatrogenic. You know what that means? Self-inflicted. Like we did it to ourselves because we're not getting the memos. Now, you go get surgery and they put you on an antibiotic. Well, yeah, but you want that antibiotic to work. You don't want to get a superbug because you've had surgery. It happens all the time. The amount of sepsis we see, the amount of cellulitis that we see. I mean, that used to be rare, cellulitis. I remember in the 1970s, cellulitis? What is that? If I saw it once a year, every 2 or 3 years. But today, it's so common. Why is cellulitis so common today? Because we're killing all the friendly bacteria. It's the overuse, too, of antibiotics. They're not getting the memo. They're not getting the memo. The memo has gone out, but they're not getting it. And, you know, sometimes things surprise me. You know, that statistic, it's sort of surprising. Because it wasn't me screaming at doctors not to give out antibiotics in asymptomatic patients. It wasn't me, although I've been saying that for a long time. But it was their own colleges. Their own associations were telling them, stop. But they don't get it. They're not listening. And it's very dangerous. They're just so used to it. And, I've talked to a few physicians about it, and they said, well, it's what I do. I know it's what you do, but that doesn't make it right. Have you ever looked at alternatives? Have you ever heard of probiotics? Have you ever heard of oil of oregano? They look at me like I got 2 heads. Well, you better fix it. It's news behind the news, guys, but these things, for the doctors that, the epidemiologists that are really worried about these superbugs, they're screaming, but people are not listening. They see down the road and they said, man, we're not going to have antibiotics that work anymore. And that's, me in antibiotics. I've always said the greatest discovery, of the 20th century can become the curse of the 21st, has become the curse of the 21st. The overuse of them when there's no reason for it. Okay, so don't say I don't like antibiotics because I'll deny I ever knew you. No, I don't dislike antibiotics. Of course not. You get into a car accident and you need antibiotics. You need emergency care. Absolutely. That's where medicine is fantastic. We don't want to dismiss medicine. Of course not. What we're talking about here. We're just talking about stuff that they know and they ought to know better. And I just want to inform you. Look at the alternatives. Here's another memo that they didn't get. I'm sort of splitting this in two today. One is antibiotics, but I read an article. The memo that doctors, dietitians, the general public is not getting is on diabetics and pre-diabetics. And 93% of the population, 93% of the population have some form of metabolic syndrome. Went from 88 in 2015-16 to 93%. We ain't getting better. It's getting worse. But doctors are not getting the memo. They still believe in a balanced diet. Eat everything in moderation. You know how many times I hear that? You know how many times I hear, well, everything in moderation. And, sometimes when I hear it, I don't always scream. I scream inside. I'm holding myself back. Because I hear it, sometimes in a general conversation. Ooh, you're not getting the memo. It's like telling an alcoholic, well, just have a few drinks in moderation. Now, have you ever heard of that? Being smart? That's not smart, right? And when you're diabetic or a pre-diabetic or you have metabolic syndrome, which is caused by insulin resistance, you and carbs don't get along. You got a bad relationship. You have an allergy. You're just fooling yourself. When I say you, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking to you personally, because you guys know this. But when I say it to the world, no such thing as moderation if you're in that 93%. Moderation? You want to kill yourself? It's insulin resistance. Your A1C's up. Your triglycerides are up. You know how dangerous that is? Your HDL is down. You know how dangerous that is for you? And then they're talking moderation. Well, you need carbs because you can't live without some carbs and sugars. Says who? Says who? Carbs and sugars have given us the problem in the first place. That's why we're at 93%. Oh, just have it in moderation. It's funny that the same people who preach moderation when it comes to sugar and carbs are telling you that red meat is bad for you. Same people. They're not getting the memo. They're not. They're not getting my memo to them. Here's the memo. If you got metabolic syndrome, you got an allergy to carbs. It ain't good. You got a bad relationship. And I tell people, look, maybe, I remember one guy, one guy in the office. I mean, it's just because He looked at me like he wasn't happy. He was an unhappy camper. When I told him that, I said, well, you got to stop eating carbohydrates. You like bread? Yeah. Stop. You like cereal? Yeah. Stop. You like pancakes? Yeah. Stop. You like muffins? Yeah. Stop. You like bagels? Yeah. Stop. He said, Doc, what am I going to eat? I'm going to starve to death. I looked at him. Well, you're going to kill yourself with food. That's guaranteed. Unless you turn the Titanic around. You already hit the iceberg. You better get in the lifeboat. And the lifeboat is going to take you down a path of no carbohydrates. Well, maybe a little bit. Very limited vegetables, very limited fruit, very limited. You and God's candies don't even get along anymore. And I always tell people, I said, well, you sort of did this to yourself, you know. And the food industry, the cartel, the food cartels, they were in on it. The money is in carbs. The food industry, those big ones, you know, what is there, about 8 or 10 companies that run the whole thing? They're not into steak and eggs. There's no money in that. The money is in those fabricated foods. The middle aisles of your grocery stores, from cereals to whatever. That's where all the money is, in the food industry. And they hired these, techs to get, the bliss point in foods. Carbohydrates made with bad oil, bad fat, and carbs and sugars. My friend, what a bad combination. This is why, and listen to what I want to say here. I've said this before. You be careful even with those keto foods. I know they're not that high in carbohydrate, but a lot of crap in those foods. Don't fool yourself. Read the labels. That's why I'm big on eggs, meat, and cheese. Dr. Martin, don't you get tired of it? No, I don't get tired of it. Do you get tired of coffee? No. Well, why would I get tired of eggs? I never get tired of eggs. I love eggs. Yeah, but you've been processed by the food industry. You've been programmed by the food industry. Oh, variety. You need a lot of variety. You got to have variety in your diet. And you need to have carbs and protein and fat. No, you don't. No, you don't. Your body doesn't operate that way. Get deprogrammed. They program you with blissful point. Technicians, scientists, food scientists said, how do we get to the reward center in the brain so that we can make addicts? And, drug addicts. Have you ever met one? Yeah, I have. It's not fun. I feel sorry for them. They're hooked. They'll steal off their grandma. They're hooked. But I'll tell you, I met a lot of people that were hooked on sugar and the blissful points of carbohydrates, and they live on it. 90% of their intake is bad food. And you don't think it's a serious problem in our society today? 93% of the population have a food, listen to what I'm going to say, have a food-induced metabolic syndrome. It's induced by bad food. You'll never get metabolic syndrome, listen to what I'm going to say, ever eating eggs. You'll never get metabolic syndrome. You'll never elevate your triglycerides. You'll never lower your HDL. You don't want to lower your HDL, and you never will. You'll never elevate your CRP. You'll never elevate your A1C if you're eating the right foods. This is a food-induced disease, and doctors, nutritionists, dietitians are not getting the memo. Well, don't eat too much protein. It's hard on your kidneys. It's the opposite. Sugar's hard on your kidneys, my friend. Sugar's hard on your kidneys. And they blame salt for what sugar has done. You eat a crappy diet, and your kidneys are on an enormous amount of stress. So is your liver. So is your heart. So is your brain. So is your gut. So is your hormones. They become hormones. They're not getting the memo. They're not getting the memo. But you are. You are. I love the Facebook group. You get the memo. People understand it. People understand it. It's going against the grain, but people understand it. I always tell you, God gave you gray matter. Use it. In French, I used to say, le concombre. Use your cucumber up there. Your brain. Think. Oh, I have fun every day. Okay, guys, we got a great week coming up. Okay? We got a great week coming up. Promise. And if people don't, if your friends and family are not on the program, you get them to you can share this, or get them to subscribe to the podcast, the Doctors In podcast. Okay? Do that. Because it's very popular, and we appreciate that. But you can share this. Share this information. Let them hear it. You know, a lot of people, they just never hear the other side. They don't. And they look at you like you have two heads. What? You know, let them listen. And you know what? They've got to do with that information what they got to do with it. It's, you know. But at least they're getting information. We're hitting that 1 million downloads on the Doctors In podcast. And that's all because of you guys telling others that are telling others. And we appreciate it. Okay. Get the memo. Get the memo. Talk to you soon. Love you.